What is up, guys? I just gotta go throw it back to the roots. I'm here. It's the Corkboard Chronicle because we've had another SNL announcement, and it
hmm
wouldn't be the Corkboard Chronicle with just me. I gotta have Caroline Morrison here with me too. How you doing, Caroline?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good. You know what's funny is we always talk, we always catch up before the episode begins. But this time, I think we have to kind of run down what we caught up about.
I think so.
Most of the time, we just swap personal stories. This time, we hit the research like you wouldn't believe, folks. We have been trying to get to the bottom of absolutely everything in the SNL adjacent culture. And one fun thing that we can talk about too. Should we start with that? Should we start with Dairy
Sure.
Queen?
Yeah.
Okay, so friend of the show, Sarah Hall. I was talking to her on the phone the other day, and she dropped some knowledge I didn't expect, which is that there is an entirely different ad campaign for Dairy Queen just in Texas. Dairy Queen, to my knowledge, has no slogan, right? To all of us, like normal people. Can you identify one? I can't.
No, I don't think so. All I'm coming up with is like the blizzard, but that's not
Maybe
really the
maybe
slogan. That's kind of just like
that's just a
their
thing.
gimmick. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they had one. They might have had one a while ago that was just like indescribably good or something like that. Do you remember
Yeah.
that at all? Hold on, let me look that up.
I don't know. Dairy Queen. I couldn't even tell you where the nearest Dairy Queen is.
They don't have one up here. They used to. They used to have a Dairy Queen in a really sketchy part of a really sketchy building. You had to go downstairs off of the street into it, into like a hallway that then led you into it, and that's been closed. DQ's current slogan is "Happy Tastes Good."
I don't think
Okay,
that that's their slogan. I've literally never heard that.
never heard that in my life. Historically, other slogans used by Dairy Queen include "It's a real treat," "We treat you right," "Hot eats, cool treats," "Think DQ," "Meet me at DQ," "DQ, something different," "So good it's ridiculous," and "Fan food, not fast food." That one I do remember.
That's
And
familiar.
actually,
Yeah.
"Hot eats, cool treats" I also remember because my hometown got a new Dairy Queen in, like, I want to say 2006. It was updated to like the grill and chill
Oh yeah.
uh, vibe. And so that whole redesign I remember very well. And on that sign, I remember them saying "Hot eats, cool treats." But in Texas, ladies and gentlemen, the slogan is "That's what I like about Texas." And the ad looks something like this.
You know what I like about Texas? My state capital is also the live music capital of the world. You know what else I like? At DQ, I can build my favorite hunger buster any way I want it.
That's what I like about Texas.
Insane.
Yeah, I don't love it.
It's bad. Um, and granted, that's old. That's probably from like 2010 or something like that. And so we're deep diving and we're going, okay, so headquarters for Dairy Queen, not Texas. The first Dairy Queen, not Texas. The largest Dairy Queen, not Texas. What makes Texas so different for Dairy Queen that's what we like about Texas? Like, as if that's the only place you can get a Blizzard.
I could see that for like a Bucky's,
That I could see. That
but
I get.
for a fast food chain that's everywhere
Mhm.
and mediocre, like
Yeah.
no offense to anybody from Texas, but they have to be special.
And you know what? I looked it up and like read stuff on Reddit of because like what is this phenomenon where there's
Yeah.
this individual state slogan and nobody else has it, and that's the only thing that people can surmise is that Texas marketing works in Texas, so Dairy Queen capitalized on that and made personalized advertisements for Texas.
Oh, strange.
Crazy stuff. Anyway, so we got to the bottom of that. If you're ever in Texas and you turn on and you see a Dairy Queen ad, it's going to end with "That's what I like about Texas." just be ready. Okay, the other thing we were talking about, this is all coming hot off the presses. It was being posted with hours ago. And I know this is the beauty of how late we had to be recording this episode, is that we wouldn't have gotten to cover this.
Nope.
Had we recorded when they announced these new episodes a couple days ago. The Las Culturistas Culture Awards. And again, I'll say it again. If Dairy Queen's slogan is "That's what I like about Texas," this podcast's slogan is "This is just as much a Las Culturistas podcast as it is an SNL podcast." Las Culturistas is going to do their first televised Culture Awards to be taped in Los Angeles on July 17th and airing on Bravo August 5th, and then quickly uploaded to Peacock, one would assume, that same day. That's going to be wild.
Very exciting.
Yes, but some interesting notes about that is that it looks like the entire production team has changed. Back when it was over here in New York, it was produced by a company called Disco Nap Productions, headed by Lauren Mandel, who also had connections to SNL at some point. Everything that Bowen Yang was involved with live, she produced. Lauren Mandel produced. That goes all the way back to the stand-up show that Bowen Yang and Sudie Green hosted back in 2019, and that continued through the Culture Awards when they staged those starting in 2022, I want to say, 2021.
That sounds right.
So that production team, at least through what I have read, is no longer part of it, which I get if Bravo needs to use their people 100%, but if it's a weird move, because I'm like, if you want to keep the essence of the in-person show,
yeah,
you would want the person who put those together at least consulting in some capacity.
Right. We don't want this to be televised and all of a sudden it's a completely different thing.
Yeah, exactly.
People want to watch it because of what they've already done and what it kind of already is. So yeah, it is an interesting choice.
And it's interesting because it's even further interesting because like last year they did just straight up, I think that was the show I went to where they just straight up told people to broadcast it. They were like, get your phones out and record and do it for the people who can't be here. But they also had cameras in the room for the Culture Awards. But unlike the Culture Awards in 2023, we didn't see any footage uploaded to Instagram or TikTok or anything in the ensuing months after the Culture Awards in 2024. So I don't know what happened there.
I have this vague memory of them mentioning something about it on the podcast, but could be making that up. It could be from a different year. I don't know. To go back to that time.
Yeah, dig through it, because they also didn't do a recap episode this year.
Right.
So I don't know what all that was about. But yeah, it's going to be super interesting. It is going to be pre-recorded. I don't know if that wasn't immediately clear to me. I'm sure it wasn't immediately clear to most. It's going to be recorded on July 17th for later airing, which I think, because of the Bravo contract, gives them a lot more freedom to just put whatever on the stage, because then it can be edited for time and content. It's a little bit of a bummer that they couldn't just full send it with a Peacock live stream.
I'm afraid that in the editing of it, we might lose something just for time that I would like to see otherwise. But
right. Because obviously Peacock's no stranger to live streaming. But it's okay. Bravo wanted a piece and they got it.
Yeah.
And so this is the arrangement we'll have this year.
We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. The last thing that we discussed, that was the biggest question mark, does lead into actually why we're here today, which is that this season is ending. We now know, and we'll discuss in a moment, every host for season 50, every host and musical guest. The only thing left to determine is kind of what this show starts to look like going forward. And where we left off in the conversation was Caroline asked a specific question about, like, when did we know that all of these people left the show? Was it announced ahead of time? And Caroline, you can take it from here on, like, our findings on that.
Yeah, so my big question, because the one that immediately comes to mind is Kristen Wiig.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I think, the biggest send-off in recent history, where it was like a very deliberate, focused around one person
Mm-hmm.
send-off. And I was trying to remember, a long time ago, I was trying to remember if it got announced ahead of time that that was happening,
Mm-hmm.
or if it was just like a surprise during the show. Oh, looks like she is for sure leaving. So we spent some time looking at major departures and any announcements that came with that. And it seems like they don't ever tell anyone ahead of time. There's a lot of speculation when people's contracts are ending, but there's never been an official ahead of the finale. This is so and so's last show. We usually don't find out until day after, week after,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes later in the summer.
Right. We thought we had a lead because of the we looked up there's a couple articles posted on April 9th of 2012
Mm-hmm.
about, like, Kristen Wiig's departure, but the more we dug into that, the more it was like, no, she hasn't actually said anything. It's just she's hitting that 7-year magic number and is starting to be asked in interviews. And she's talking more about what that would look like and whatever. It's not quite the same as an announcement. But what was also interesting, because we also looked up, I believe, Kate McKinnon and Will Ferrell.
Mm-hmm.
The two more, like, kind of tentpole moments.
Right. Big deal when
Jimmy,
they left.
Right. Jimmy Fallon would probably be another one.
Yeah.
And neither of those, at least as far as we can tell, were announced ahead of time either. I would say it'd be interesting to go back and look at the Kate McKinnon exit, just because it's the most, it's the most like today.
Yes.
Where, like, for example, the Kamala Harris appearance, which was another, like, huge event, a surprise you don't want to spoil for the audience, like that kind of thing. It feels in the same vein as, like, a cast member departure.
Yeah.
In terms of how they would want to handle it. It wasn't released that Kamala Harris was going to appear on SNL this year until after the dress rehearsal began.
Right.
Because
I
by
do
then,
remember. Yeah.
Right, because we did get, like, there were push notifications, stuff was coming out on Twitter and being published about that, but it was on the day.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I have similar memories of the Kate McKinnon one. It would take more diving in than we did today, but I feel like that may have been the case of, like, they seal in the audience, both audiences.
Yeah.
So now everybody's phone is off. Everybody, like, nobody knows anything. They tell everyone outside this tonight's going to be the last episode for Kate McKinnon and A.D. Bryant. I don't know. It's super interesting the way they're, like, handling this, because it feels like, when you think back about a Kristen Wiig departure, it felt like we knew longer than we did.
Yeah.
But we actually didn't.
It
Not
was,
from SNL's mouth.
No, it was this whole thing. It's like, yeah, she's probably leaving, but maybe not, I guess we'll see. There wasn't like a definitive, like, okay, Kristen seems like she's done. Get ready to say goodbye. It was kind of like you were leaning towards her leaving, but ultimately there was no way of knowing.
Right. The other big one was the Cecily Strong leaving mid-season. That I'm fairly certain wasn't confirmed until after 8 p.m.
Because she had that big moment at the end of the previous season.
Yep.
As Janine Pirro, her standing in the wine box.
Yeah.
And I even was like, oh, Cecily's done. Like, that was it. That was her big moment. Like, she's leaving. And then she came back for another few episodes. I think she missed part of the season.
She did, yeah. She started
She
season
was in a
48.
she was in a
Yeah,
play maybe,
I
and so
think
she
something like
missed.
that.
And yeah, so and then she only did a few more, and then she was gone. But yeah, it's it's interesting. The only one we could obviously find confirmation of for sure leaving ahead of time was Seth Meyers, but that was because he obviously had a new job to get to. Everybody knew he
Hmm.
was leaving, so it's a little different.
And Seth's was surprising in the other direction, which was that like the debut date for the start of Late Night and the Tonight Show was released over the summer of 2013. So we knew
Hmm.
that what we knew in the moment was Stefan and Seth Meyers run off the Weekend Update set in May. It gets released in like June or July. That the Tonight Show is going to start on like February 17th. Seth Meyers is going to start on February 24th of
Hmm.
2014. And um and that was it. So you assume you're not going to see Seth Meyers in 2013. It's a
Right.
good it's a
Yeah.
good bet that he's going to go ahead and take those 6 months to prepare his own show, and then he doesn't.
He
He's back.
doesn't. He's there. Did Cecily start with him right away?
Yeah, so Cecily did that entire season 39, and
Hmm.
then Seth Meyers went up through February, like February 1st or
Yeah.
whatever it was, and then Colin Jost started March 1st
Hmm.
in the next episode. So they had come up with this scenario where like it wouldn't be as jarring.
I
Um,
think it would have been hard for them to fully start with two new anchors at the
yeah,
beginning of the season. So I'm sure that that was kind of, yeah, that transition was, who knows if it was Lauren's idea or Seth's, but
right. Well, but yeah, 'cause I feel like it had to have been Seth's
he'd have been
because
willing to do it, I guess. Yeah.
right. The monologue in that Tina Fey episode that started season 39 was about how SNL was rebuilding. They did a
Yeah.
big introduction for
That's
the 6
right.
new cast members that they
Yeah.
hired, 4 of which did not survive the season.
Yeah.
But which is insane. But that episode had the vibe of we are starting over.
Hmm.
Here's a familiar face to get you used to the new ones, right? Like
Yeah.
with Tina
Bear
Fey
with
and
us.
yeah, Tina Fey and Arcade Fire are going to be a comforting presence no matter who's on the rest of the show.
Hmm.
For fans of the show. And then uh it almost like would have made sense to go ahead and start a new team that night,
Yeah.
because the whole vibe of the show is there's a lot we're going to have to get used to here.
Right. But then, yeah, then to swing into update, it's like, you know this part.
Right.
It
And
is
then
interesting.
yeah, and then they got the rhythm going for I want to say 15 episodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then change
Even
again.
even if he had left at the winter finale, it's so funny to me that he really was there like right up until he had to go do his show.
For sure. And I think a little bit of that was probably like he's human.
Yeah.
He did not know what he was getting into. He wasn't sure about it and is like, I
And
need to keep
yeah,
SNL for as long as I possibly can.
to his I mean, and to his credit, his show was a little rocky there for it took them a little while to kind of get into
Yeah.
a groove.
Yep.
But once they switched it to be more like the Seth we knew from Update, it kind of clicked into place.
Yeah. And like and he has relaxed so much more. Like
Yeah.
you can look at interviews of, you know, he's sitting like this during
Hmm.
interviews in like 2014, 15. Nowadays,
Yep, he's laid back.
it's lean back. He is like borderline got a foot on the desk and
Yeah.
he's just talking. It's great. And like that was, you know, I like to see that like development
Hmm.
in somebody like that. You would have hoped the Tonight Show host had shown the same development over the last 15 years. But
I mean, all love. I'm a big fan of his, but yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I liked Late Night as a venue for him much more.
I think I did too. I think I
I
did
was a
too.
big Late Night fan when I was in high school.
Oh, yeah. Me
Huge.
too. I was watching daily.
Yeah, same.
Daily.
I would go on Hulu the next day and watch every episode.
100%.
Yeah.
And I continued. I probably watched, I would say I watched the first 125 Tonight shows.
I was watching that. Yeah, I was checked into that for a while.
Yeah, but I don't know what shifted then. I don't know. And you know what? I don't know if it was something that the Tonight Show started to, or like that production started to scale back on, or if it was just people kind of reached an exhaustion. The idea of a viral segment of something that, like, you know, was cat video level of popular.
Yeah.
In 2011 was new and groundbreaking, and like,
yeah.
These TV shows did not have a focus on the internet before late night did it. Like,
no,
don't get it wrong, kids
right.
out there. This did not happen before. Like, even SNL, which is built for YouTube. There's people who were interviewed in like 2010 for a special about the 2000s saying that YouTube was a gift to the show because of, like, SNL produces 9 new YouTube videos every week.
Right, and that was just a beautiful coincidence.
Yeah, exactly. It just so happens that since 1975, SNL has made a lot of YouTube videos.
They were built for the internet way before the internet even existed.
Exactly.
It was just,
But if you go back to SNL's YouTube channel, they had nothing on it until 2013. Now, that's not because they didn't upload sketches. I think there was a combination, and I've been wanting to do some more digging on, like, the history of this. There's 2 possibilities of what happened. One was that their sketches were being uploaded by outside people and getting traction that way.
Yeah.
Like, the way I've heard the guys from the Lonely Island talk about the Lazy Sunday going out there is that somebody else posted it.
Right, yeah, other people were uploading, their
which is a crazy thing to think about now. But the other possibility is that SNL did try to dip their toe into the YouTube landscape, but the writer's strike of 2007, 2008 made them shut it down.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know the actual history of it. But it appears that one of the 2 of those is true. So these late night shows, these networks didn't see the value of it until Late Night with Jimmy Fallon said, this is going to be a huge focus for us, probably even more so than our 12:35 time slot.
Yeah.
Which is groundbreaking and still continues today. Like, you do not have a talk show unless you have a YouTube channel. Right.
Yeah. Everything gets uploaded in segments of, 4 to 8 minutes.
Right. Yeah. I don't know how we got started talking about that, but it's another interesting, like, layer to
talking about the demise of the Tonight Show.
Yeah, you're right. That did lead us down that road. But
Not
anyway,
demise. Sorry, Jimmy.
Sorry, Jimmy.
Some people like it. It's very popular. My parents love the Tonight Show.
Okay, great. That's perfect. And that, you know what? That's the demographic the Tonight Show's always had.
That's what it's for, yeah.
And if it continues, that's fantastic. Because, like, the Tonight Show, like the Johnny Carson Tonight Show, even that, I mean, especially towards the end of his tenure, skewed much older. It's always the 12:35. It really doesn't matter who's there that is going to have the younger eyes on it. Like, Late Night with David Letterman was huge for college students. Huge.
Yeah.
And then, like, David Letterman moves to The Late Show. That demographic starts to climb. And then Conan comes into Late Night, and it's like, again, high schoolers and college kids.
Right. It's all younger people. Yeah.
Right. So it's just always the way. Always the way it's gone. And now, in general, the TV audience is older, period.
Right. That's
So
I couldn't tell you the last time I watched any of those shows like as they were airing.
yeah, the last time last time for me was very recent, but because it was the week that Seth had SNL writers on the show
Oh yeah.
leading up to SNL 50, I was like, I will watch all of those episodes, and I was glad I did. They were fun. Anyway, main topic was SNL departures being announced prior to them happening. Point being, there is not a precedent for us to know for sure that
No.
these people are leaving until the dress rehearsal begins on Saturday, May 17th. That's the only time they're going to confirm who is actually gone.
Yeah.
And like we said, there will be more people probably over the summer who will leave or be released midsummer.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the realm of Chloe Trost, unfortunately. So yeah, just there's a lot to be looking out for.
I think the finale's it's just gonna be like a lot of surprises in that regard, I'm assuming.
I almost wish they could get the permission to do like a 2-hour show. If what's being predicted is actually happening, which is probably we're seeing the last episode of the Michael Che and Colin Jost era.
I think so.
We're probably seeing the departure of Kenan Thompson.
That's the one that if anyone deserves a pre-announced send-off,
yeah,
I think it would be Kenan.
You'd hope.
I would hope that so that people would watch, and they would do something big for him. Maybe he's not leaving. He said he'd stay till Lorne left, and if Lorne's not leaving, then maybe Kenan won't. I don't know.
Yeah. There's so much up in the air, and we'll get to this, the scheduling of this last part of the season kind of does make it look like they're setting up for a goodbye.
Yeah.
But
I think so.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Getting ahead of myself. Because we do have our announcements, so I think it's time to actually talk about the announcements. What do you say?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Here they are. Here's who we got. Host Walton Goggins, musical guest Arcade Fire. Host Scarlett Johansson, and musical guest Bad Bunny. 8 thumbs way up, I would say. These are going to be a lot of fun. Walton Goggins is such an interesting choice, but he's had a hell of a year, and he's going to continue.
Yeah, I think with White Lotus and for me, Righteous Gemstones.
Yep.
I don't know if the general public is reaching him in that same way that they were for White Lotus.
Yeah.
Uncle Baby Billy, that's his character on Righteous Gemstones, is one of the greatest TV characters I think of all time.
Yeah.
And so would I like to see him in a sketch? Yes, I would like to see him be Baby Billy on SNL.
Oh, yeah.
Will he? I don't know. I would
but
like it.
He was in a show on CBS back in 2019. I can't remember what that was, but I believe it was a comedy. If not, he was playing a big character.
He usually does.
And then the White Lotus was a whole different thing where he's playing this very depressed, spoiler alert, murderer, dead guy. And then this crazy character.
Yeah, well, his character
crazy
Fallout.
Swing. Yeah.
That's another really big one, and I feel like last year that really had a moment. Him as the guy with the skeleton guy with no nose. I don't play video games. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't pretend to know the details of that. I just know that people really liked that character.
Yeah. So he can do anything. This is a character actor we're talking about here.
Yes.
So he's going to have a blast on SNL, and I think he's going to be a blast to watch.
I think so. I watched him on Seth's show recently, and he just seems like a good time. And I listened to his Conan episode of the podcast, and I don't know, he seems like just a really nice guy, and he'll have a great time.
Yeah, I should
being there for the week.
Yeah, I should listen to that Conan episode because I don't know much about him, period.
I think
he was...
That episode was promoting Fallout, I think.
Okay, gotcha.
I think it's like from a year ago. But
yeah, he was. Well, actually, I actually completely forgot about this. My introduction to Walton Goggins was he was on the Late Show in 2019 while I was interning there,
oh,
and the only thing that I knew was that he was on a CBS show,
yeah.
which was called.
Well, I know he was on Sons of Anarchy, but I think that was before.
That might have been before, because this was. It didn't last long.
Justified?
Nope.
That's another one he was in, but that wasn't a
Yeah,
huge character, I don't think.
The Unicorn.
Oh,
He was
I
in a
don't know if
show
I
called The
remember that.
Unicorn. I didn't either. Didn't
Hmm.
see it, but he was on promoting that. This lasted longer than I expected,
I've
so that's
never heard of
interesting.
this show.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
just
interesting.
CBS, and CBS All Access at the time. But yeah, so this was my introduction to him. I had
Okay.
not heard of him, and I
Super
remember
different
him.
vibe than most of the stuff he's done since then.
Right? Yeah.
I feel like he's known for like looking crazy in shows.
Yeah, and then him leading a sitcom where he plays the owner of a landscaping company and a single father trying to find a new balance in his life after his wife's death.
Yeah, that doesn't
You
sound
know.
like a Walton Goggins character to me.
Yeah, bit of a
Not
bit
the
of a
Walton Goggins
departure.
I know.
Right. So yeah, but point being, it's just gonna be a good time. I feel
think
like
it'll
he's a
be
good
fun.
time.
I think
Yeah.
he'll get along with the cast really well. Like,
For
I
sure.
think they'll all just like have a fun time hanging out.
Yep. And then musical guest for the Walton Goggins episode, Arcade Fire, which is
A classic
a
SNL.
classic. Their 7th time on the show. That's it. That's all there is to say. It's always a party when Arcade Fire comes to town.
They had a big moment in the SNL 50 concert. So yeah, I think it almost surprises me they're not the finale musical guest, just because like I'm sure they have been before.
Yes, they
They're
100% have been. Well, that's what the interesting thing is. So the wiki does not credit Arcade Fire with a musical guest title for that episode with Mick Jagger, because technically Mick Jagger was the billed musical guest.
Yeah.
But you had appearances that night, like backing band for Mick Jagger were the Foo Fighters, Arcade Fire, and Jeff Beck. But none of them are considered as the musical guest that night.
Right, yeah.
So in some ways, you could look at this as the 7th time, because for all intents and purposes, it is. They just didn't perform an Arcade Fire song.
Right. Which is, I mean, people do covers, they'll get Timothy Chalamet.
Uh-oh.
We didn't get Timothy Chalamet originals.
So
I would have liked them, but
I know.
I
got us
Bob
here,
Dylan
Lil
songs.
Timmy Tim. No, that would have been iconic. Honestly, they should have rolled out credits with a performance from Lil Timmy Tim.
I would have loved.
Oh, that would have been great. But you're looking at the potential of them doing sort of like a post-credits performance, because they have done that before. I remember the Tina Fey episode we talked about that kicked off season 39. The Goodnights led right into a concert special that aired from the SNL studio where Arcade Fire played for like an additional hour.
Oh, wow.
Like, it literally just, SNL ended, it carried, I think it aired instead of Last Call with Carson Daly or whatever was coming up next, and they just stayed on and played an extra 30 minutes of music. Because I don't think it streamed anywhere. You couldn't really stream.
Right. They weren't doing that.
Yeah. So there's the potential for something like that, where maybe not necessarily more performances, but them kind of like playing a third song under the credits, which has been done plenty before.
Right.
So we'll see. I would like to see that. I would like to see a little bit of a mix-up of the format as we get into the closing moments of season 50.
It'd be fun. I mean, why not,
Fun. Yeah, screw it. Who cares? Also, they do monologue live streams on YouTube. Just cut back in.
Yeah.
Cut back in for Arcade Fire. So yeah, any other things about that particular episode? I knew you were going to love talking about that because of the gemstone stuff.
I mean, it's oh my God, the final episode of the series airs this Sunday.
Whoa.
It should be the day after. They should have timed it better, but
Yeah.
it's okay.
Maybe they didn't know.
But yeah, by the time he hosts, the show will have been done, so we'll find out what happens to Uncle Baby Billy.
Uncle Baby Billy. I have an important development on the Righteous Gemstones, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
In the meantime, May 17th, Scarlett Johansson is hosting for her 7th time.
I saw, and I'm not sure if this is true or not, I didn't fact check it. Is she breaking a record for female hosts?
Let's check.
I saw this on Twitter, so if it's wrong, my bad.
Yes.
Nice.
Kristen Wiig has 5. Emma Stone has 5. And Tina Fey and Drew Barrymore both have 6 appearances. This will be Scarlett Johansson's 7th, and she will be the most frequent female host in SNL's history. Let's just sit with that for a moment, because that's incredible.
It's so funny that it's her, because SNL is not the first thing that comes to mind when I think of her.
Yeah, I agree.
But, I mean, she's great on it, and I love her episodes, but it's not like front of mind. If you ask me which woman has hosted SNL the most, I don't think I would come up with Scarlett Johansson.
I probably would have said Tina Fey.
Yeah.
But there's something to be said for like the later. Our generation has a lot of nostalgia, and it's just true. I think people have nostalgia in general, where like I don't know if social media plays a role in that, but like we're just worried about what just happened versus like thinking about the iconic moments of 2015. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so 3 of her hostings were in recent memory, where politics wasn't a lot of fun.
Right.
Nothing really iconic was like happening, or at least things we didn't want to remember. 3 of her hostings happen in that time. So maybe that could be a reason why we don't like tie her to that. Our generation doesn't tie her to that. But that it's true. I actually forgot about this April 21st, 2007 appearance. Like I didn't realize she had done back-to-back seasons.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm familiar enough with her first time hosting. Musical guest was Death Cab for Cutie.
Oh, wow.
Let's sit with that for a
love Death
second.
Cab.
Yeah. But the immediate hosting again. Let's see who the musical guest was. They'll probably get a good laugh out of us. Bjork.
Whoa!
What an episode! That's amazing.
Was Bjork like releasing new music then?
She must have been. Hold on, let's look. Yes, there was a new album called Volta.
Well, I'm behind on
It released on May 1st, and she was the musical guest on April 21st.
Well, there you go.
So there you go.
Bjork.
Wait, okay, so if those first 2 are like hyper specific timing, like you had to be there kind of musical guests, I got to see the rest of these. November 13th, 2010, Arcade Fire.
Oh,
okay, wait. I was like, this has actually never happened before, where we have the same host and same musical guest twice. There was a joke about it. There's been a lot of jokes about it. John Goodman's entire monologue in 1999 was about how he had to convince audience member Paul Appel that this was not a rerun.
Okay.
Because it sounded like a show that would have happened 10 years prior. That's a great monologue. It's one of my favorites. Because then she pulls out a newspaper that says, no, that's just one of those joke newspapers. See, I got one. And it zooms in on the headline, and it's the headline in the New York Post is, "This is a rerun from 1991." This is great.
Awesome. Has it actually never happened before?
I to my knowledge, it has not happened with the same host and same musical guest, excluding something like a Justin Timberlake situation.
Yeah.
Like excluding, pardon the phrase, double duty.
Right.
I don't believe we've ever had the same host and same musical guest 2 separate episodes.
And they still, again, so interesting that they didn't just swap Arcade Fire, because then it would have been,
You would have had like
that's
a
history.
redo of history, and then that would have been so fun for nerds like us.
And they could have just put on the exact same show, brought all the old cast back, and
everything.
Just beat for beat.
I mean, Colin Jost still wrote on this episode, so it's still his work,
So now my question is, when did she get divorced? How many times did she host and meet Colin before they got together?
Let's check that.
Endlessly fascinating to me that she's been hosting since 2007, 2006.
6.
And he was on it then, I think.
Yes. We'll get to that in a second, but yes, he was on.
Yeah.
So she was not married in 2006. Married, probably dating Ryan Reynolds at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Married to him for her first 3 episodes.
Okay.
Got divorced in 2011. Sorry, only married to him for this 2010 episode, but probably you would assume dating him in 2006, 2007. Married again in 2014. She comes back in 2015. We're talking about ships in the night here,
Yeah,
folks.
exactly. It's Pete and Ariana.
Yes, this is like the missed connections on Craigslist. Like, every time we're together, we can't make it happen. And then she is divorced from whoever this is in 2017. Hold on, let me specifically, Scarlett Johansson. This is all coming together, folks, because here's what happened. Married when she hosts in 2015. She comes back to host March 11th, 2017. They got divorced in 2017. You're like, March is pretty early. She probably wasn't divorced yet. She separated from her ex-husband in the summer of 2016, and the divorce was finalized in 2017. So she is available
in the clip.
In March
she
of 2017.
Called her agent and she said, "Can you get me on SNL sometime soon? There's somebody I'd like to talk to."
I like that one guy that.
Can you get me in a room with him?
Yeah. And then by the fall of 2017, they're dating.
I didn't realize they'd been together for that long.
Yeah. Yep.
I remember when that news broke, I was in college and I was like screaming at my roommates and they did not care. They were like, I don't really know who Colin Jost is. And I was like, this is a huge deal.
If you don't understand, then you just got to give me some time. I just got to process this. Okay, so continuing our musical guest search through her hostings, May 2015 was Wiz Khalifa.
Nice.
And I'm fairly certain he performed See You Again.
Yeah, I was going to say the song from Fast and Furious.
With Charlie Puth, yeah, which was my class's song.
Oh, that song's so sad, though. I'm
a big
Fast and Furious head. And that song does make me cry because it makes me think of Paul Walker.
Right.
And the end of the movie when they use the song. It's just sad to be a graduation song.
I got it, but honestly, it was graduation songs all across America that year.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's true.
Lorde was the musical guest in 2017,
nice.
Which could have happened again. She's got new music coming.
That would have been for Melodrama. Excellent album.
Yes, she performed Greenlight, and it was fantastic.
Oh, wow.
Niall Horan was the musical guest. Solo Niall Horan was musical guest in 2019, and then obviously now Bad Bunny. So
has she not hosted since 2019?
Nope. It's been all cameos.
I guess she does pop up a lot, but she isn't the actual host.
Yeah, according to this, May of 2018, February of 2023, twice in 2024, which one of those was the Five Timers Club episode, and then
she's in the 50th.
She appeared in the John Hamm episode, which I don't immediately recall. Is that wild? Is that kind of crazy? That it was
I can't think of it either, but I'm sure she was in it, and I cannot picture it.
Oh, she played Ivanka. She played Ivanka in the White POTUS. That's right.
Oh, pre-tape. Okay.
Yep, pre-tape.
Well, right, because
That's why it didn't jump out.
Beck and Kyle came back for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or not,
and Alex Moffat.
not Kyle. Yeah, just Beck and Alex Moffat.
Alex Moffat, who, I said it once, I'll say it again, he's looking fine lately.
Looks good.
Like, damn.
Yeah.
He was like almost nude in that New York musical sketch. I said, pause, rewind. Who is that? Wow. Yeah. So I'm very excited for the Scarlett Johansson episode, but what I teased earlier about the conversation, which is that we seem to be confirming right now that that's at least word on the street. We seem to be confirming that they are arranging a send-off for her husband, Colin Jost.
Yes.
What I find fascinating about their story, if you will, is not just what we talked about, which is like every time she came through in those early days, she was always taken.
Right.
But also the fact that like her hosting stints and Colin Jost's tenure on SNL match perfectly.
Really?
Both of them started on SNL in season 31. And this was like Colin, I wonder, so she was young. She was probably 20, I want to say, when she hosted SNL.
I wonder what she was promoting.
She was 21.
Okay.
When she hosted SNL for the first time, potentially promoting Match Point.
Sure.
By Woody Allen.
Okay.
Hold for Booze. Yes, I think that's what it was, because this premiered December 28th theatrically, and she hosted January 14th, 2006.
Okay.
So this is what she was promoting. Again, she was 21 years old. Colin Jost, if I'm not mistaken, was 22.
He would have been fresh out of Harvard.
Yep, because he graduated Harvard and immediately joined the writing staff at SNL. He was 22. Yeah, he was 22. So that was probably a comfort.
Yes,
because
I'm sure.
He had to have been the youngest one by at least 5 years.
Yeah.
And if she as a 21-year-old comes into a room with a bunch of 40-year-olds, she's gonna gravitate towards the person her age.
Right.
And so, it just makes sense. But what was I going to say about that? But I do like this. I don't know, the story that like they started together.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna end together, or at least, I mean, she doesn't have to never host SNL again, but
she's there for the like send off. Yeah.
Exactly. That's just like that's a warm, fuzzy feeling.
If that's what they're doing, and I would be shocked if it isn't what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be really surprised if they had her host and that wasn't
part
of it. I think it'll be really nice, and I wonder if they will go sincere or if they will do, write each other's jokes and leave on, kind of that note, or if we get a genuine moment from Michael Che.
Doubt that.
Yeah.
But you can for sure bet on the craziest joke swap
that
of all time.
The one in the winter finale, which Scarlett was also there for, was whoa.
Yeah.
I don't know how they top it, but I believe in them.
They got one more chance. I feel
believe
like
that they can.
They're gonna go hard.
Yeah.
So, oh god, but that's the thing, is you have potentially so many people to say goodbye to, and my pitch for them, which I think I said on our show here, was that I think on Kenan Thompson's last episode, whenever it may be, folks, I think they need to do like a half hour What Up With That.
I think so.
I think What Up With That needs to be 3 blocks.
Yeah.
And I think you know how they have guests come in as like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, ladies and gentlemen, here's whoever. Like one time it was Nassim Pedrad dressed as the Grinch, like that.
Yeah.
I think you do that. You have those like walk-on characters, but every new character that walks on is like another cast member from his tenure. So
I think
like,
that would be, everybody coming back
yes,
to kind of send him off. I think that he deserves that.
yeah, 100%. Like,
He
you know,
deserves his own special.
absolutely.
Like
Honestly,
up after
honestly,
the finale, we're doing a week later. We're gonna do full hour and a half. Goodbye,
just
Keenan.
Keenan, yeah. But yeah, like starting with Jimmy Fallon
Yeah.
and realizing like, oh, they did cross over as cast members, and ending with, you know, Chloe Trost. Ending with like, you know, the people who are on the show today
Right.
would demonstrate, and if you fill in with Bill Hader, Kristen Wiig, Andy Samberg,
Mm-hmm.
Kate McKinnon, would demonstrate the breadth of
I think
that
that
particular tenure.
it would really very clearly be like, this is how long however long you think he's been on the show, like go back.
Yes. Yep.
Has he hit the half? No, he hasn't been on 25 years, has he?
This is his 23rd season, I want to say.
See, he should make
go
it,
for 25.
Well, he should go till he's been on half of the show, you know?
Yeah, no, that's...
Which I think would be, because that's a lot of math for me to do. Next year would be 24.
Well, he'd have to be on till season
5.
58.
Okay.
That's not looking good.
Well, Keenan, sorry, you have to.
You're locked in. Sorry.
I don't make the rules.
Yeah, get back in, bud. You're not done yet. But yeah, so he began in season 29. His tenure is as old as the Grand Central set on SNL. That he debuted the same night that like The Clock debuted.
But when he leaves, he should take it with him, they should do a new
unhook
set.
it and walk out. Yes, 100%. That is his damn clock. Yeah. So, oh God. But anyway, back on what I was saying, which is that like this show's gonna be too full if everything that we think is gonna happen is gonna happen.
That's what I'm bumping up against. Is like we can't do a proper send off for everyone that I think is gonna leave.
Right.
It
gets tough. It gets tough to even fit in someone like Bowen Yang, who we've been predicting could leave any second now.
But it's
when you have to do What Up With That one more time, you're probably doing Update for like 20 minutes.
I mean, maybe Bowen gets sent off during Update. He is an Update staple.
That's a good point.
But then, you know, if they're doing a longer Update, are they dedicating it fully to, you know, Che and Colin or...
Right.
I don't know.
There's a lot.
Is Ego leaving? Is Heidi leaving?
Yep. Mikey Day.
I have to assume that Mikey Day's going to leave because he's been there for
the
a
longest
while.
Under Keenan.
I'm surprised he didn't leave when like Alex Moffat and Beck and Kyle left.
Me too.
But I don't want him to leave.
Those aren't
really stay
forever. Yeah, well, me either. But those aren't really his collaborators. His main collaborator is Streeter Seidel, who is still there.
I guess, if Streeter doesn't leave, maybe Mikey won't.
Yeah.
But maybe they'll leave together.
It's going to be wild. Streeter's been there, I guess, the same amount of time as Mikey Day, because Mikey Day wrote first.
Oh, yeah.
And wasn't promoted until after he was, like, on-air talent for Maya and Marty.
Maya and Marty.
Yeah.
Okay, well, next question then.
Yes.
Of the people we think are going to stay, who's going to host Update?
Oh my God, the Update question is so scary because it's
new talent or existing, a mix.
I think
writers.
I think new because new worked out well for really the last 25 years, excluding Amy and Seth.
Yeah.
Like the Tina Fey set that precedent of. Well, I guess not Tina Fey. Dennis Miller set that precedent of this is the only place you're going to see him.
Yeah.
And then that kind of became, it kind of moved away from the norm when Kevin Nealon takes over. And then also with Norm Macdonald, back to the norm with when Tina Fey starts.
Yeah.
So I feel like you may elevate somebody from the writing staff. And you know what? This just occurred to me right now. I think an interesting Weekend Update choice is Rosebud Baker.
Okay, I could see it.
She gets more political. She gets
Yeah.
more cultural. She just put out a stand-up special.
She did. That's true.
She's been at the show for about 3 years, which is about the same as like Michael Che did like a year and a half before he was elevated. Maybe 2 years. But it's the same kind of trajectory.
Yeah.
And a very different direction.
I wouldn't mind that. I think that would be good.
I don't know. We'll see.
I
Come
can
back
see
to this
it.
clip in
Yeah.
5 months when we know we need a new Weekend Update host.
Yeah.
That would be interesting, but I don't know if you duo Rosebud Baker.
That's the thing. It's like, are we going back to the Seth model, or are we sticking with the duo? I don't know. The duos worked really well for Colin and Michael, but we never really saw either of them alone.
Right.
So.
But they worked so well together. Like they.
Yeah. Would they have been better?
Yeah.
On their own? Who knows?
And I think about it. I think we talked about it last time, which is like the characters that they have fallen into, or the caricatures that they've fallen into, that the Weekend Update commentaries have gotten so much mileage out of. Like that's what made this era of the
definitely.
show.
Was like their
and so now like whoever comes in is going to have to start from nothing, which is going to be rough. Period.
Scary.
But I hadn't thought about that name until literally I was sitting here, and then I was like, no, she has enough recognition now.
Yeah.
To where you could, in a similar way where Michael Che needed that exposure on The Daily Show to make the choice make sense. Rosebud's out there now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Could be interesting. There's so much.
Yeah.
There's so much here.
Just waiting to find out. You know, we can talk about what we think will happen, but really won't know until May 17th.
May 17th. Mark your calendars. Maybe Caroline and I get into that show finally.
We are trying so hard.
Wouldn't that be wild if that's the one we make it into? All the times we've tried. God, I don't think I would survive it. Like, I think I would pass out.
To be there, especially for like that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Again, if what looks like is going to happen, you're talking about a crazy night of television, folks. And I hope they let them go long, because
I hope.
I just need more. Need more season 50. I've had a good time. Now we can talk about the musical guest, which is so much fun. It's going to be amazing. The SNL 50 concert performance. That's another interesting thing, is we're closing out with 2 SNL 50 concert appearances.
Yeah.
Which is super fun. I love that they did that.
Yeah.
And it makes perfect sense. You know, he killed it at that. He has a huge residency in Puerto Rico this summer.
Oh, that's right.
It's going to be like several months that he's going to be there. At, I can't remember the venue. I can't remember what the venue's called, but like he's staying there and just doing 3 months.
Yeah.
That's gonna be incredible too. I got a friend of mine from work who's going.
Oh, nice.
So just that is another candidate for the party continues after the show.
Definitely.
Like, we're gonna roll credits under a third performance kind of a thing. Definitely. If the show wasn't already so stuffed.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We will see. It's
We'll see what happens.
gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I'm already just fascinated by the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then as for us folks, I mean, I feel like there's so much to still synthesize. As much as we've spoken, the hours that we've spent on this podcast talking about SNL, once it's all said and done, it's going to be interesting to look back and see what we thought it was going to look like leading up to it, and now that we've seen the entire product presented in front of us, just how it felt, you know? I mean, we have a pretty good sense of it right now, but that finale is going to add a lot of context.
Yeah.
So I say we got to come back and recap.
I think we do one more once we can look at season 50 in its like entirety.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we ain't done yet, folks. It is not over just yet. But they did pull a fast one on us, because I like when they said when they announced the just one episode, I was like, oh, they're gonna draw this out, and then they dumped the last two. It's like, okay, well, whatever. I guess we are done then with our announcement episodes. But yeah, so and now we can officially, you know, as right as I am that Sabrina Carpenter needs to be the host and musical guest, I can hop off that train.
We were like kind of way off on like all our predictions,
all our guesses. The one I'm most,
we got any of them.
The one I'm most surprised by was the Keke Palmer thing.
Yeah,
she fully it seemed like a misspeak in her interview with Amanda de Moldenberg. Like, I thought I had it, man, and then like. At least Quinta came back, and because she also kind of talked like she was going to come back, and she did, but is coming back this weekend. But yeah, other than that, I mean, we're going to recap more. We're just going to talk about the overall feelings of being done with season 50, 21 episodes, and like 4 specials.
So many extras.
Yeah, and then oh God, there was an election this year. What do we talk? We got to go back and talk about this whole thing, because I cannot believe that that's the same season.
I'm gonna have to go back and kind of recap the whole season.
Yeah,
get my thoughts together.
And we will do one final by the numbers. We're not going to go beat by beat. We'll go beat by beat, but we're not going to talk out beat by beat. But yeah, so there's so much to synthesize and summarize about the season, and hopefully by that point we'll be able to share a story about getting into a taping.
Fingers crossed.
If not this weekend, then finale weekend, because I am out of town on the Mother's Day episode. So, anything else as before we, land this plane on season 50?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think we're watching a lot of stuff right now. Like, the updates are going to start rolling through. We're going to be trying to get up to the minute coverage for you next time we meet. So, it's going to be wild. Strap in.
Yeah, for real.
But folks, as hard as it is to believe, we don't just watch Saturday Night Live. We watch a few other things too, and we'd like to recommend them to you now in a segment we call In Other Media. Caroline, do you mind if I go first?
Go for it.
I feel like what's going to show up behind me is a logo you recognize. Yeah, I started the Righteous Gemstones, and I'm really, really enjoying it.
Oh.
It's insane. Obviously,
it just gets crazier. Like,
and it gets crazier.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I want it to get crazier. They did throw me for a loop, and I felt a little dumb, sure, because like I didn't see it coming, and it seemed when it happened, I was like, oh yeah, I should have guessed that. The twist in, I want to say, episode that ends episode 2,
where you find out that Gideon is.
You find out who's behind the whole opening blackmailing incident,
Yeah.
is wild. So it's like it has that, and it's surprisingly, at least in the episodes I've seen, it's like almost an action series as much as it is a comedy.
There is a lot of action in it. There's a
There's a lot
lot of
going
stunt
on.
work. Like
Yeah,
it is a production.
yeah, and it's shot very well. I love the just the style that they've arrived at.
Yeah.
Like cameras are almost always in motion. Like it's very rare that a camera is static. It just adds like this tension to it that has been really fun. And then what else was I going to say about it? Oh, just the environment of it being like, again, I I'm from a much smaller town, but like grew up Baptist, so I know all of these people that
Right.
they're referencing, and particularly because my grandparents used to go to First Baptist Church of Jacksonville, which for a long time, if it isn't still, was the like capital of the Southern Baptist Convention.
Mm.
So that's who they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is the televangelist like group. And so it's like it is so eerie to see it in like to see like John Goodman in that kind of scenario. But I'm telling you folks, every like the people down to shadier shit than you want to admit, the weird surprise churches opening up in abandoned malls, it's all real. It's all really real.
Yeah.
Like and so I don't know, I've been having a blast, and I was even more not relieved, but like I really knew I could pick up on it once I realized the only hour-long episode was the first one.
Yeah, they're 30 minutes and there's 9 episodes a season. It's honestly like a pretty quick watch.
Yeah. So I'm moving now. I'm not going to catch up to finale by Sunday,
It's fine.
but
It's fine.
I'll get close enough, and hopefully I won't see any spoilers. But I just had to let you know that I was finally in on Righteous Gemstones. And you know what? Every single person I have talked to in my friend group has not only said that they're watching Righteous Gemstones, but they watch Righteous Gemstones on your recommendation.
I told Blake to watch it.
Yep.
I was like, yeah. I've made it my personal mission in the way that they are evangelists.
Yes.
I am an evangelist for this show. I'm just trying to get the have you heard the good news?
Yeah.
You can watch The Righteous Gemstones on HBO Max.
Yeah, right now, in fact.
Yeah.
Should we just watch it right now? It's amazing. So I thank you for imparting your wisdom
I'm just
onto
trying
the
to
masses.
Yeah, spread the good word.
Yep. Very nice. All right. And now your turn.
We're back in
to
Apple.
To quote Andrew Dismukes, and now you go. You remember that, right?
Yes.
We went to a weird Andrew Dismukes stand-up show. It wasn't a weird show. We had a couple of weird acts, but that's how the two hosts, Andrew Dismukes and the other guy,
the other guy. He wasn't on SNL. I didn't know who he was.
Yeah. Anyway, go for it.
All right, I'm back. Back representing Apple TV Plus, Apple whatever it's called.
Yeah, good. They missed you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm back in full force for this new John Hamm show. Good. Your Friends and Neighbors.
Your Friends and Neighbors. All right, tell us about it.
So I, admittedly, am like one episode behind, but it's just like your classic rich guy, midlife crisis, loses his job as a hedge fund manager, maybe. It's not that important. It's finance. He's, getting divorced, has kids that he doesn't connect with them, just general, like, middle-aged man issues. To make up for the fact that he has lost his high-paying finance job, he begins to rob his rich neighbors. Because he knows all about them, he knows when they're out of town, and he kind of just walks into their house and takes expensive watches and other things that he knows they won't miss because he never sees them wear it, all this stuff, $40,000 watches and stuff like that.
Interesting.
It's good. I mean, I'm not sure how heightened it's gonna get.
Mm-hmm.
I can't quite tell, but I'm just having a good time watching John Hamm.
Yeah,
It's hard to have a bad time watching a John Hamm show,
for
but I
sure.
mean, everybody in it, it's good. I don't have too much to say
Yeah.
about it. It's not action packed or anything, but
Mm.
I am enjoying it right now.
It's an interesting table they're setting. It's almost like a Breaking Bad kind of thing where,
Yes, the very anti-hero, like,
yeah,
you
right,
shouldn't root for him because he's just straight up stealing from people, but like they deserve it, and he's like doing it for his family, and it's John
right.
Hamm. So you're like, all right,
So you're like, okay, do what you need to do, John Hamm.
yeah,
You
hope
know,
you
the
don't get
other,
caught.
right, the other thing, like, first thought I had hearing about that is it's almost like you kind of envision it as the epilogue to the rat lifts in the White Lotus.
Honestly, yeah, it is
You can
very
kind of
much
see
like,
the through line.
yeah, I don't know that he, at this point in time, would be willing to potentially, murder his family. I don't know if we're
Yeah,
quite to that point yet.
right,
Who knows? The first, the pilot, this isn't spoiling anything. It does open with him standing over a dead body, as these shows typically do. And then,
sure.
and
Flashback.
it also has that kind of voiceover that I love. Like, you might be wondering how I got here.
Oh
It's
no,
very that.
record scratch.
Yeah. But yeah, it's good. Olivia Munn is in it,
Whoa, okay.
kind of off and on, which is interesting, but yeah,
Yeah. Wow,
just having a good
so
time.
she's working.
She's acting. She was just on The Daily Show again recently.
Really?
She popped back in for a second, yeah.
Wow, okay. Wait, doing like she was being interviewed?
She did a little correspondent thing, and then she was also interviewed.
Oh my God, I'm a few weeks behind on the Daily Show, so
Yeah.
I need
It
to.
was maybe last week before, but she also just did, Scarlett Johansson did it too, like a week hosting
Oh,
with Jenna
probably
Bush
today.
Hager.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just did like a stint with that.
Wow.
Yeah, she's out and about.
That's fascinating. I love seeing her around. Like, because that's so was it a Jon Stewart hosted episode that she did the correspondent thing
No,
for?
I think it was Desi. What's her last name?
Desi Lydic.
Desi Lydic.
I'm
Yeah, I think it
surprised.
was
I'm
her.
surprised they wouldn't have saved that for John just because that
Well,
was her
she got
host.
interviewed by Desi Lydic.
Mhm.
Maybe the correspondent piece was for Jon Stewart. I don't remember.
Interesting.
But
I'll have to look
yeah,
that up. That's awesome that she's like around because she's been kind of going through it the last year and a half.
she's got to keep busy while John's doing his talk show, I guess, for
Yeah, I guess.
the next
Nothing to
couple
do on
weeks.
Wednesdays. Better go to New York
Speaking of
and.
things I'm watching, I was rewarded for watching that show live last week. I never watch it live, and I was
Uh
like,
huh.
eh,
I'll
let's
turn it on.
see. I was like, it's Conan and Io. I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Who shows up to my surprise halfway through? Tina Fey.
Mm, just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that. I don't know. I respect that show for what it is. I think we've talked about this before.
Hmm.
I can go to our title card. I respect that show for what it is. I don't know if it has hooked me yet.
I'm a little off and on with it.
It's like scattered, and I'm glad everybody's having a good time. But that show in particular, I feel like was one like the one that he had David Letterman on for, not this year, but last year,
Hmm.
because that one I did see. When you had somebody who was like major TV brain,
Yeah.
David Letterman knows how to flow a show
Yes.
really well. And he brought that like little bit of structure that I wanted and needed in the show last year to it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I haven't watched it. You enjoyed the Conan episode, I assume.
I did. I liked, out of the ones that he's done so far, this one I think was the best one.
Mm-hmm.
My problem is I really cannot stomach anything that has a call-in. Like
Yeah.
I have to like mute or skip through those parts on
Mm-hmm.
Tom Mulaney's show, and I can't do it. I can't listen to these insane people call in and ramble.
Right.
So that is like the one thing that I'm like, I would rather hear any of them talk.
Yeah, I know. Every now and then I like a call in, but the ones where I cringe the most is when you can tell that somebody is trying to do stand up for John
Yes.
Mulaney.
There were
I
some
hate that.
there were some very, very strange people that called in,
Ugh,
and he will hang up on people, which is
good.
fun, but he doesn't do it early enough.
Yeah.
And so I had to literally, because I was watching it live, I had to like literally mute my laptop because I was like, I actually can't listen to this. I'm gonna like
Yeah.
pull my hair out.
Cringe Town, USA.
Too much, but
Yeah, I don't know. I want to like it unconditionally. You know, you got Anna Dresden
yeah,
in the writers' room, you got Fran Gillespie in the writers' room, John Mulaney's
it
hosting. Like,
should all click, and it just
yes,
some of it is really funny, and then some of it I'm
hmm
like, what?
but in a way, like that's what does well, stuff
Yeah,
that clips well, and
yeah.
if you can clip it, it gets the numbers. So I don't know. I don't mean to like dog on it. I just like,
No, I know what you mean. I watched this one by chance, just because I probably, if it hadn't been those people, I wouldn't have turned it on.
yeah, that's fair. That's
I've
one
only
I still
seen
need to
clips
see.
of the other episodes, but
Right.
I'm enjoying Richard Kind.
Yes, love him. Love him every time.
Yeah.
He's he's wild. And they just cut him loose. He's just doing whatever.
His mic is like fully on the whole
hmm
time, and
Yeah.
he's like constantly laughing at what people are saying. So you just
Yeah.
like hear Richard Kind laughing in the background.
Uh-huh.
It's so funny.
So good. So good. That's exactly where I want to see him.
Yeah.
Also, I think I will say here's my one like unfiltered enjoyment of that show. The intro is
Yeah. It's
one of
good.
the greatest intros in television.
Yeah, it is good.
Like, it's gorgeous. It's shot really well. It's funny. Like, the
Mm-hmm.
minion popping up when the music stops gets me every time.
Yeah.
And like, that's such a it's long too, which
It
like
is.
shows
Yeah.
are not doing a long intro anymore, but it is like a work of art.
Yeah.
And the song is great. I don't know. I just like I will sometimes just pull up just the intro just because
Yeah.
I'm like I just like the vibe it sets, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then like that like slow growing of the audience towards the end of it with Richard Kind screaming. It's good. It's a good intro. I
It
don't know
is.
how they did it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
It is good.
Yeah. Um, but anyway, that's
Yeah.
all. I think that's all we got. You know, I was gonna watch The Righteous Gemstones, but maybe like for over dinner. But maybe I watch that Everybody's Live episode
You could probably
instead.
skip through some of it and then
Get
also fit in Righteous Gemstones.
true. Yeah. Okay. That's probably what I'll do realistically. All right. Any parting words before we go?
I mean, nothing profound.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see how the season ends.
I know.
Looking
The
forward to
next
it.
time we meet, season 50 will be complete.
Yeah. Who knows? Has it
So
gotten a
sad.
renewal yet?
Beats me. We'll
Did they
see.
officially renewed SNL?
Yeah, right. I'm hanging on the edge of my seat here.
Still waiting.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, we'll see you then for the
All right.
conclusion. All right. Bye.